I didn't walk into Moonlight Academy expecting my life to change. I walked in hoping it wouldn't. That might sound strange, but when you grow up as an Omega, you learn very quickly that attention is dangerous. Attention brings expectations. Expectations bring pressure, and pressure breaks people like me. Stepped through them, I felt like I had crossed into a different world. Students stood confidently in groups. Laughter echoed across the courtyard. Everything looked polished and perfect. I tightened my hold on my sketchbook and kept my head down. Don't stand out. Don't make trouble. Just survive. I almost made it up the stairs. Almost. My shoulder hit something solid, and before I understood what happened, my books slipped from my arms. Papers scattered across the ground, my drawings sliding across the stone floor. "I'm so sorry," I said quickly, kneeling down. I expected irritation, maybe even anger. Instead, I heard a calm voice. "It's fine." When I looked up, I met a pair of steady gray eyes, sharp but not unkind. He was taller than me by at least a half a head. His posture was straight, confident. His uniform looked perfectly neat, like he took quiet pride in small details. He crouched down and began picking up my papers, carefully. He didn't step on them. He didn't rush. He picked up a drawing of the sky, one I had just finished the night before, and studied it for a moment. "You drew this?" he asked. "Yes," I replied softly, embarrassed. "It's good." Just 2 words, but they felt real. That was the first time I met Riku. Before I could thank him properly, a loud voice echoed from behind us. "Riku, you're blocking the entrance again!" I flinched at the sudden volume. A tall boy with messy brown hair jogged up the steps towards us. His energy felt bright and unstoppable, like a burst of sunlight. He looked at me with open curiosity. "New student?" he asked. I nodded. "Omega?" he added bluntly. I nodded again, bracing myself for whatever came next. He grinned widely. "Nice! We don't get many brave ones." "Brave?" I blinked in confusion. That was Taiga. Behind him walked someone quieter. His hair was neatly styled, his expression soft. He carried himself gently, like he was careful not to bump into people. He bent slightly and handed me my sketchbook. "You dropped this," he said warmly. "Thank you," I whispered. That was Minato. Then I felt it, a presence. When I turned my head, I saw him leaning against the railing a few steps away. His smile was smooth, confident, effortless. He didn't rush forward like Taiga. He didn't crouch down like Riku. He simply watched, as if he had already decided something. He pushed off the railing and walked towards us. "You don't look scared," he said, studying my face. "I am," I admitted. His smile deepened slightly. I like honest people. That was Shin. Even without introductions, I understood. These were the 4 most respected alphas in the school, and they were all standing around me. Students nearby had gone quiet. I could feel eyes on my back. Riku stood up first. "We'll be late." Taiga stretched lazily. "Then let's go." To my surprise, they didn't leave me behind. They walked with me, all 4 of them. The whispers started immediately. "Why are they with him? Isn't that the new Omega? What's going on?" My ears burned. I kept my eyes on the ground. But none of them stepped away, not even Shin. Lunch was worse, or maybe better. I couldn't tell. I found a table near the window, hoping sunlight would make me invisible. I had just opened my bag when a tray landed loudly in front of me. "Why are you hiding over here?" Taiga asked. "I'm not hiding," I replied. "You are," he said cheerfully. Before I could protest, Minato sat beside me and placed a small lunch container on the table. "I made too much. Would you like some?" I hesitated. No one had ever offered me homemade food before. When I accepted, he smiled like it genuinely made him happy. Riku joined us quietly.
And then Shin took the seat directly opposite me. He rested his chin lightly against his hand. "You don't have to look so nervous," he said. Taiga laughed. "Relax. If we were going to bully you, we'd be less obvious." I couldn't help it. I laughed too, and something inside me loosened. For the first time since entering the academy, I didn't feel alone. Days passed, then weeks, and somehow being around them became normal. Too normal. Riku started carrying my heavier textbooks without asking. Taiga began walking on the side closest to the street whenever we left school. Minato checked if I had eaten breakfast. And Shin stayed close. If I slowed down, he slowed down. If I looked uncertain, he spoke first. When someone called my name, his eyes moved before mine. At first, it felt comforting, like being protected, like being important. But slowly, I noticed something else. Whenever I laughed too long at something Taiga said, Shin's fingers stopped moving across his notebook. Whenever Riku leaned closer to explain a concept I didn't understand, Shin's gaze sharpened slightly. When Minato brushed my sleeve to get my attention, Shin's hand clenched around his pen so tightly it snapped. The sound made me jump. He looked down at the broken pen and smiled faintly. "Sorry," he said. But his eyes didn't look sorry. They looked frustrated. No one else seemed to notice, or maybe they chose not to. That afternoon during gym class, we had to choose partners. Omegas are usually picked last. I had already prepared myself for that small, familiar sting. Before anyone else could speak, Riku said, "I'll pair with Sora." The room went quiet for a second. Taiga laughed. "You move fast." Minato smiled gently, but when I glanced at Shin, he wasn't smiling. It only lasted a heartbeat. Then his expression smoothed over again. During the run, Riku kept his pace steady beside me. "You don't need to prove anything," he said calmly. "I don't want to slow you down," I replied. "You're not." Those words stayed with me. You're not. Not weak, not in the way, not a burden. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying the day in my head. I wasn't used to being wanted, and part of me was afraid that if I moved wrong, it would all disappear. I didn't know then that something had already started shifting, and I was standing right in the center of something I didn't see clearly. Something that was about to change everything.
The first rumor reached me before the truth did. I didn't hear it directly. I felt it. You can always feel when something changes in a room before you understand why. That morning, when I walked into class, conversation stopped half a second too late. Eyes lingered a little too long. A few students looked away quickly when I glanced at them. At first, I told myself it was nothing. I had gotten used to whispers, but this felt different, heavier. Taiga slid into the seat behind me like always. "Morning," he said casually. "Morning," I replied. Riku sat by the window, flipping through his notes. Minato gave me a small smile. And Shin's gaze was already on me. Not unusual, but today his expression was softer than usual, almost sympathetic. "You look tired," he said. "I didn't sleep much," I admitted. "That's not good," he replied quietly. His tone felt careful, measured, like he was preparing for something. It happened during lunch. I had just sat down when my phone buzzed, a message notification, then another, then 5 more. My stomach tightened. I opened the first one. It was from an unknown number. So this is how you get popular. Confused, I opened the next. A screenshot. My breath caught. It showed a group chat. My name at the top. Messages that read, "They're so easy to control. 4 alphas wrapped around my finger. Being an omega has its advantages." My hands went cold. I whispered under my breath. More messages came in. "Did you really say that? You're disgusting." "So you were using them?" The world around me grew quiet.
too quiet. I slowly lifted my head. Students were staring, whispering openly now. Tyga leaned forward. "What's going on?" I turned my phone toward him with shaking hands. His smile disappeared. "What is this?" "I don't know," I said quickly. "I didn't write that." Riku stood up from his seat and walked over. His expression hardened as he read the screen. Minato covered his mouth slightly, shocked. And Shin's gaze looked at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. "I didn't send those," I said, my voice barely steady. The cafeteria buzzed louder. Someone nearby said, "I knew it." Another voice whispered, "Omegas are always calculating." Tyga slammed his hand on the table. "Shut up!" But the whispers didn't stop. Riku's voice was calm, but colder than I had ever heard it. "Sora, when was this sent?" "I don't know," I replied desperately. "I've never seen that chat before." Minato leaned closer. "The username, it's yours." I stared at it. It was. My name, my profile picture. But I hadn't written those words. "I would never say that," I said. "You know me." Silence. Just for a second. Then Shin spoke softly. "I saw him on his phone a lot last week." The words felt like a blade sliding quietly into my chest. I turned to him. "What?" He avoided my eyes. "I didn't want to think badly," he continued gently. "But I did see you typing and smiling." My throat tightened. "I smile to everything," I said weakly. Tyga looked between us. "Shin, what are you saying?" "I'm not accusing him," Shin replied calmly. "I'm just saying it's possible." Possible. The word echoed painfully. Riku's jaw tightened. "Sora, just tell us the truth." "I am telling you the truth," my voice cracked. "I didn't do this." But doubt had already entered the space between us, and doubt spreads faster than fire. By the end of lunch, the screenshots had spread across the entire school. Students I had never spoken to looked at me with disgust. A girl in my class muttered, "So fake." I couldn't breathe properly. When the bell rang, I stayed seated. My legs felt weak. Tyga hesitated. "Sora?" "I didn't do it," I whispered again. He ran a hand through his hair. "I want to believe you." Want, not do. Riku looked conflicted. Minato looked heartbroken. And Shin placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. "If you made a mistake, we can fix it, but lying will only make it worse." The touch felt wrong now, heavy. "I didn't make a mistake," I said, pulling away slightly. His hand lingered in the air for half a second before dropping. Classes passed in a blur. No one sat near me. No one spoke to me. Even the teachers seemed distant. Every time I checked my phone, more messages had appeared. Angry ones, mocking ones, disappointed ones. By the time school ended, I felt hollow. Tyga approached me near the lockers. "Just tell me straight, were you using us?" The question hurt more than the rumors. "No," I said, meeting his eyes. He studied my face like he was searching for something hidden. "I don't understand," he muttered. "Neither do I whispered. Riku walked past us without speaking. Minato gave me a small, uncertain look, and Shin sighed softly. "I think we all need space." Space. The word echoed louder than any accusation. They left together, without me. For the first time since I stepped into Moonlight Academy, I walked home alone, and the silence was louder than any whisper. Walking home alone felt different. It shouldn't have. I had walked alone for most of my life, but after weeks of footsteps beside me, silence felt louder, heavier. Every step echoed the same question in my mind. Why didn't they believe me? By the time I reached my house, my phone battery was almost dead from constant notifications. I didn't open any more messages. I didn't have the strength. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. The screenshot, the fake words, Shin's voice. I saw him on his phone a lot last week. It wasn't what he said. It was how he said it. Soft, careful, almost sympathetic. like he was disappointed in me. The thought made my chest ache. I trusted him the most, and in the moment I needed him, he had planted doubt. The next morning, I almost didn't go to school, but staying home would look guilty, so I went. The whispers were worse. No one tried to hide them anymore. That's him, manipulator, using alpha instincts for attention. Each word chipped away at something inside me. When I reached my classroom, Riku was already there. He didn't look at me. "Sora," I said quietly. He paused, but didn't turn around. "Did you really believe that?" Silence stretched between us. "I don't know what to believe," he said finally. The answer hurt more than anger would have. Taiga arrived next. He avoided my eyes. Minato looked pale, and Shin gave me a small, gentle nod, like nothing had changed. By the end of lunch, the rumor had evolved. Now people were saying I had been planning it from the start, that I chose them on purpose, that Omegas were trained to manipulate. It was ridiculous, but rumors don't need logic. They only need fuel, and someone was feeding this one. I found Minato alone near the vending machines. "Do you believe me?" I asked softly. He looked torn. "I want to," he said. "Want again." "Then what's stopping you?" I asked. He hesitated. "The messages sounded confident, not like you, but the account was yours. My name was used. That doesn't mean it was me." Minato looked down. "I don't understand why someone would fake that." I did. At least part of me did, but I wasn't ready to say it out loud. That afternoon, I heard something that made my stomach drop. There were more screenshots, new ones. In these, I was supposedly laughing about how easy it was to make alphas fight over me. I hadn't even seen those before, which meant someone was actively adding to the lie, not just once, over and over. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was deliberate, careful, planned. After school, I finally confronted Shin. He was alone near the back stairs. "Did you really think I wrote those?" He turned slowly. "I didn't want to," he replied softly. "That's not what I asked." He sighed, stepping closer. "Sora, I saw signs." "What signs?" "You enjoying the attention. I never asked for it, but you liked it." His words felt sharp. "I liked being your friend, all of you." He studied my face carefully. "If this is a misunderstanding, prove it." "How?" My voice cracked. "How do I prove something I didn't do?" He didn't answer immediately. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "Sometimes people don't realize they're using others." The accusation was gentle, but it was still an accusation. "Why are you doing this?" I whispered. His expression shifted slightly. "What do you mean? You're the only one who sounded sure." He smiled faintly. "I just don't want to be blind." Something clicked then. A memory. If you had to choose one of us, you can't stay in the middle forever. I don't like sharing what's precious to me. The pieces didn't fully fit yet, but they were close. Too close. That evening, I stayed late on purpose. I needed space to think. The hallway was quiet. I sat on the floor near the lockers, hugging my knees. Tears fell before I could stop them. Not loud sobs, just silent.
I used to think betrayal would feel loud, like shouting, like something breaking all at once. But when Riku, Taiga, and Minato stepped onto the staircase behind me, it didn't feel loud at all. It felt quiet, final. Shin didn't turn around immediately. He already knew they were there. "You heard?" he asked calmly. "We heard enough," Taiga replied, and there was no humor in his voice this time. I didn't look at Shin. I couldn't, because if I did, I wasn't sure whether I would cry or scream. Riku walked forward first. His expression was colder than I had ever seen it. "Did you create the messages?" he asked directly. Shin didn't answer right away. He glanced at me, then at them. "I didn't force him to say those things," Shin said finally. "I never said them," I replied. You didn't deny wanting all of us, Shin shot back. That's not the same thing, Taiga snapped. Minato stepped closer, his voice steady but firm. You spread the screenshots first. Shin exhaled slowly. I protected myself. From what? Riku asked. From being made a fool. The silence that followed was sharp. Riku's jaw tightened. You thought Sora was manipulating us, he said. I thought he enjoyed the attention, Shin replied. I thought he liked being in the center. I didn't, I said, my voice shaking. I liked being with you. That's different. Shin looked at me, and for a second, I saw something fragile there. Not anger, not pride, fear. You didn't choose, he said quietly. I didn't want to lose anyone, I answered. That's selfish. No, Riku said firmly. It's human. The word hit differently. Human. Not Omega, not manipulator, not fragile. Human. Shin's expression hardened again. You're all blind, he muttered. No, Taiga replied. We trusted the wrong person. That landed. Shin flinched slightly, and I realized something important in that moment. He hadn't expected to be exposed. He thought doubt would grow quietly, that it would divide us slowly, but instead, it brought them back to me. The next morning, the truth spread just as fast as the lie had. Minato had gathered proof from the message logs. Riku confronted the student council about the fake accounts. Taiga made sure no one tried to twist the story again. By lunchtime, everyone knew. Shin had edited the screenshots, created fake conversations, sent them anonymously before pretending to discover them. Students whispered again, but this time, not about me, about him. I sat at our usual table, unsure if I still belonged there. Riku placed his tray down beside mine. Taiga dropped into his chair heavily. Minato gave me a small, apologetic smile. No one spoke for several seconds. Then Taiga looked at me. I'm sorry. The words were simple, but they mattered. I should have trusted you. Riku nodded once. We all should have. Minato's voice was soft. You kept saying you didn't do it. We hesitated. I swallowed the lump in my throat. It hurt, I admitted quietly. We know, Riku replied, and we can't undo that. For a moment, I didn't know what to say, because forgiveness doesn't come instantly, and pain doesn't disappear just because someone says sorry. But something inside me had changed. When Shin betrayed me, I thought I would feel weak. Instead, I felt clear. I don't want perfect alphas, I said slowly. I just wanted honest ones. Riku met my eyes. You have that now. Across the cafeteria, I saw Shin standing alone. No one sat with him. No one laughed near him. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't defending himself. He was just isolated. And for a second, I didn't feel anger. I felt sad. Because jealousy destroyed something that could have been real. The next day, the word betrayal hung heavy in the air. Some students looked at Shin with curtained glares. Others avoided him entirely. The rumors hadn't been fully stopped, only changed its direction. Even with the truth out, a lot of their doubts still lingered in the air. Shin didn't seek my forgiveness, and I didn't seek justice. He simply became an isolated figure in the crowded halls. I saw him one afternoon, standing by the window in the art room. He looked lost, and I felt a pang. Not anger, not vengeance, pity. I wouldn't ask for forgiveness, he said quietly. I forgive you, I said softly, but I won't forget, and I won't let you close to my heart like before. He nodded slowly. That's fair. There was no dramatic ending, no shouting, no tears, just acceptance. He walked out quietly, and this time, I didn't feel broken watching him leave. I felt lighter. The days after the truth came out were strange. No one apologized to Shin. No one confronted him loudly. He simply faded. The same students who once admired him now avoided eye contact. Conversation stopped when he walked by. His name, once spoken with respect, was now followed by quiet disappointment. It wasn't a dramatic revenge. It was worse. It was silence. And silence can be very loud when you're standing alone. I saw him 3 days after everything was exposed. I was in the art room again, sitting by the window sketching the cherry blossom trees outside. Drawing still helped me breathe, helped me think. The door slid open softly. I didn't have to turn around to know who it was. "You always come here," Shin said quietly. His voice was different, not smooth, not confident, just tired. I kept my pencil moving. "It's peaceful." He stepped inside, but didn't come too close. For a moment, neither of us spoke. "I didn't think it would go this far," he said finally. "That's the problem," I replied. He exhaled slowly. "I thought if they saw doubt, they would step back, and then you would choose. I told you I didn't want to choose. That's what scared me." I turned to look at him. He looked smaller somehow, not physically, but emotionally. "You could have talked to me again," I said. "And risk hearing that I wasn't enough?" he asked. The question was honest, painfully honest. "This wasn't about me choosing," I said softly. "It was about you not trusting me." He didn't deny it. "I hated watching you laugh with them," he admitted. "I hated not knowing where I stood." "I stood beside you," I said. "You were never behind." His eyes shifted slightly. "I didn't want to share." "That's not love," I said quietly. The words surprised even me, but they were true. Love isn't control. It isn't isolation. It isn't tearing someone down so they have nowhere else to go. Shin swallowed. "I know that now." Silence filled the room again. "I won't ask you to forgive me," he added. I studied him for a long moment. "I forgive you," I said. His head snapped up slightly. "But I won't forget, and I won't let you close to my heart like before." He nodded slowly. "That's fair." And this time, I didn't feel broken watching him leave. I felt lighter. Healing isn't instant. It doesn't happen because someone says sorry. It happens in small moments. Like when Taiga started waiting outside the art room without making a big deal about it. Like when Minato brought extra snacks again and didn't hesitate this time. Like when Riku began asking about my drawings, not to distract me, but because he genuinely wanted to know. They didn't overwhelm me. They didn't demand answers. They stayed, steady, consistent, and slowly the crack inside my chest began to close. Not perfectly, but enough. One afternoon, we sat beneath the cherry blossom trees again, the same place where everything had shifted. Petals drifted softly around us. Taiga lay back on the grass dramatically. "So," he said, staring at the sky, "are we allowed to breathe normally again?" I laughed. A real laugh. "I think so." Minato smiled at the sound of it. Riku looked at me seriously. "Sora," he said, his voice steady, "we need to say something clearly." Taiga nodded. Groaned. "Why do you always say it like that?" Taiga said. "Because it